Let me wet the
Sweet.
whistle.
All right, I'm recording. Got speed. Anytime you guys are ready. Are your lights on, Johnny? Yeah.
All right. Ready? Let's do a
Give it a good snap.
Okay, so
3, 2.
camera 1, going on a tangent, take 1, slate, and then go right here in front of Tom's face, please. Okay. Can you please go right here in front of Tom's face?
Well, one. Are you rolling on that one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sir.
Okay. Can you go a little bit closer to Tom? Sorry. Thank you so much. Going on a tangent, camera 2, take 1.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. This is a production, right?
This is definitely.
I love these guys. I mean, we're gonna blow this up. Hey, everybody, how we doing? Welcome back to Going on a Tangent with Tom Whalen. I am Tom Whalen, and guys, we have a treat today. We really do have a treat. I met this man first as a friend, and then really started to respect, just how much skin he has in the game, how much work he does. You've seen him on Adult Swim's The Jellies. You've seen him on Showtime's I'm Dying Up Here. You've seen him on Comedy Central's Roast Battle. I mean, I'm sure I could keep going, but guys, this is Earl Skakel. Give it up for Earl.
Thank you.
Seriously.
I'm like the most unknown comic ever.
Infamous, right?
Well, no, infamous would be like Ted Bundy.
Sure.
I've done a lot, but still no one knows who I am.
You're a little bit more like, what was the guy that took out all the mobsters?
Sammy the Bull?
No, he took out the mobsters. He was like an FBI guy.
Elliot Ness.
You're more of an Elliot Ness. He was infamous. I would say
Yeah.
Elliot Ness was infamous.
Yeah, I think Kevin Costner played him in The Untouchables.
And listen, if Costner's playing you,
I'll take it.
yeah, that's a champion of a man, right?
We're
there.
about the same age, so
You think really?
no,
Costner?
he's a little older.
I was
than me,
gonna
but-
say, yeah. God, that face of his starting to look like that baseball glove his dad used in Field of Dreams, isn't it?
I mean, some guys my age and above moisturize, take care of themselves. You could tell he's like, I'm Kevin Costner.
Dude, he's Kevin Costner, dude.
I don't need to moisturize.
A picture of masculinity. We love to see it. We love to see the true aging process of a real man. Out
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I'm 54, but I feel I look.
You're 54?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I honestly thought you were in your mid 40s.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I look older with the facial hair just because there's gray in it. But when I'm clean shaven, I think I could pass for early to mid 40s.
Yeah, you've been in the game for a long time too. Yeah, like in stand-up comedy, LA stand-up comedy, you've been in it for a minute.
I've been in it so long, I don't even remember when I started. Like, I'll guess 99-ish. So that's 23, 24 years.
Damn.
So
So what was like the first open mic or show that you started doing that you really remember being like your first kind of foray into comedy? What was your start like?
it was the very famous black comic. He was known to be a street comic, Michael Collier.
Okay.
He was in the Tony Robbins infomercial. He was in that because it was like, hey, this guy was homeless. Now he's a famous comic. He had a room in Beverly Hills called Indochine,
Okay.
which was a very high-end restaurant.
Okay.
He did comedy there on, I think, a Wednesday or Thursday night.
Okay.
And he put me up, and I was horrible. But,
Sure.
He said, come back. And then I still keep in touch with him.
That's awesome. Well, how's he doing?
He's like a more of a positive thinker type. He's very much like a black Tony Robbins, I guess.
We love to see it. I love that type of stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, he was homeless, living, I think, on the streets of Venice.
Yeah.
He never really quite made it as a stand-up, but that's different. Making it is different to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times people have this notion of what making it is, right? But then they start to realize that they might have to kind of break some of their moral boundaries to get there. Or they might have to, sacrifice parts of their life that they don't want to sacrifice, like having a family or a good solid job, right? So I think sometimes making it is in the experience for some people.
I mean, you definitely have to sell your soul to work with some people in this business.
Absolutely. Now, because I would love to know, you don't have to give an exact example.
Oh, I will.
Okay. So who's somebody that you think like, really had to kind of like betray their own morals to get where they are?
Me.
Yeah.
I mean, just working on Roast Battle was my first TV experience, and it was miserable just
Yeah.
because, working with a guy like Jeff Ross was just soul crushing.
Now, this was Comedy Central's roast battle for
Yeah.
anybody who doesn't know. And this was on TV. This was your first TV credit.
100% first TV credit. I got it because, as you know, I'm assuming the majority of people don't follow Roast Battle who are
Probably
watching
not,
this.
honestly. Not anymore. Yeah, probably not.
I mean, it's almost like Roast Battle's like me. It's like known, but it's not known. So I was the house heckler. At the time, they called it the house racist.
Yes.
Which I
wouldn't probably fly any longer.
I mean, it was basically me doing a caricature of Archie Bunker.
Yeah.
Because like I said, my first stand-up influences weren't stand-ups.
Yeah.
It was Carol O'Connor.
Sure.
Because I loved I didn't like what Archie Bunker was saying, but he appeared likable.
And there's something about saying the thing that none of us are allowed to say, or hearing
Right.
someone else say, even though especially if they're coming from a place of not aggression, right?
Yeah.
So like Archie Bunker was never saying these things, like he would say to the moon, Alice, right? But he never was like getting in her face and saying, I'm going to, to the moon, right?
Well, I think that was Ralph Cramden.
Oh, sorry. I'm mixing up.
You're too young.
I was born in 90, dude.
So no,
I was 9 years old when you started stand-up.
I'm 68. Not years old. I was born in 68.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just...
But I mean, I feel like I'm 68 sometimes.
Yeah.
But like Carol O'Connor and Archie Bunker was, he was portrayed by Norman Lear as like the lovable buffoon.
Right.
And I always try and point even someone as young as you, people younger than you, to the episode where Sammy Davis visited Archie Bunker's house. And
I think I've seen this. Yeah.
It is the most amazingly written 10 minutes of sitcom television because it's racism through the eyes of Sammy Davis, and the way it was written it was perfect. Like the way now this is 1973.
Sure.
So some of the things that they were saying were groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Because it was CBS, primetime television. You didn't say that back then.
Right. It was one of those sweep it under the carpet type of things.
Yeah. And my second influence was only a 3-season show that virtually nobody has heard of called The White Shadow. Which was like an ensemble version of All in the Family.
Interesting.
It was about a white coach who coaches in the ghetto.
Yeah.
And once again, it was very similar.
It's kind of like Chico and the Man, maybe
very
almost.
Yeah, it was. The topics that they covered were like abortion, rape, teen pregnancy.
So you've always just loved honesty
in
comedy. You've always loved the truth of saying the thing that we're not supposed to say, that may or may not even be true, but the truth of like, I don't know, there's just something about hearing someone say something that we're not supposed to say that I think a lot of us like.
Yeah, like I think my favorite episode of The White Shadow was season 2. It was called Lynx, and the coach takes Salami and 2 black players to this racist country club.
Oh my God.
And it was not a sitcom. It was more of a drama with humor laced in it.
Really?
And just the racial jokes that they pulled off in 1979 on network television, kids today would probably think, oh, this episode's kind of boring because there's no lasers coming out. But back then,
TikTok dances.
Yeah, it was just amazing racial humor.
Yeah.
That I think inspired me to be like, I want to say stuff like that, but still be likable.
Sure, right. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's almost like exercising getting any actual anger out by like saying something without anger. Is that something to do with it? Like saying something.
I think it's a different era, like that I grew up in the 70s. You had a movie like Blazing Saddles. Which was, you could not do that film today.
No, absolutely not.
And not that all my humor is racial, because in my stand-up, I really don't talk about
no.
racial stuff. But
You know what I've always loved about your stand-up, Earl? It's joke-centric, right? You're
Yeah.
always telling jokes. You're not going on you're not going on like, long, stories. You're not telling any big, long stories. If you tell a story, it's got jokes.
Yeah, well, because it's true. Like I tell a story about being in a gangbang that is everything about that story, and it's probably about a 10-minute story.
I guess I haven't heard it, but
It's a great story
it's
just
just
because it's true.
yeah.
Like how many guys have been to a gangbang, participated in one,
Yeah.
and the final joke is it actually happened. So
What was that like? Can I ask you, like, what was the setup? How was that proposed to you?
I mean, I'll tell the abbreviated version.
Okay.
Before it was actually the guys who got me into stand up. They were all agents and managers.
Yeah.
High level ones.
Oh, wow.
Like William Morris, what would be considered back then 3 arts.
Sure, yeah.
CAA, ICM. They all were like, Earl, get into stand up. You're the funniest guy we know, and we'll help you. Of course, later on, they all quit the business to get into real estate. But
Of course, yep.
But if you know anything about that side of the business, you work, you're up at 6 a.m. to deal with East Coast clients in the UK.
Yeah.
You don't go to bed till 8 or 9 at night. You're literally working 15-hour days.
Yeah.
But on weekends, you get in 100 hours of pleasure in 48 hours.
Oh, yeah. So you really push it. You do like a Dennis Rodman style weekend.
You take the horniest 5 guys in LA comedy, they look like virgins compared to these guys.
Unbelievable. Because that's pretty crazy. Because there's some incredible weirdos.
Yes, incredible horny people.
So, like, what are some weird, you don't have to tell me any of your sexual exploits, but like, if you were around all this, you must have seen some pretty wild and crazy stuff.
I mean, thank God the Me Too era was not around back then. It was all consensual, but
yeah,
because you got to understand, we had VIP access to any nightclub we wanted.
Yep.
Because all the door guys were actors, so
they wanted the
they
agents
wanted
too.
Like my one buddy was a door guy at Chippendales.
Oh yeah.
It was the greatest scam. Me and my buddy, I'll say Ralph for the story.
Ralph.
He was a big agent, and still is to this day.
Okay, Ralph.
And the door guy at Chippendales would let me and Ralph in first. So from 10 to 12, it was Chippendales.
Yeah.
No men allowed.
Yeah.
And then midnight, they let guys in.
Sure.
So at 12:01, me and Ralph were the first ones let in.
And all these horny women.
I now know how a hot chick feels.
Oh yeah, because they're like, it's like they get in heat when they go to a show like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like it now. I mean, I know they have, I think it's called Thunder from Down Under or something in Vegas, but Chippendales in the late 80s and early 90s.
Just think about that, because women, like, I know they like feed off of each other hormonally. Like if 2 women live in this same house, they'll sync up, right? Their
100%.
menstruation. There's got to be something there with horniness. So you have 30 horny, probably lonely women.
Well, I think it's set because it was where the comedy club Dublin's ended up becoming.
Gotcha.
So it's probably about 200 women.
Unbelievable.
And
so you and Ralph got in.
This was fun for us to go. This is before I got into comedy, and so I was just raised around whack stuff like that. Probably didn't happen to most comics.
Yes.
So I have,
because you're an LA local.
Grew up in Bel Air
on the Sunset Strip at a young age. Yep.
So my stories and stand up are different than most comics, because most comics were not poor, but maybe not.
Definitely poor.
They're lower middle class, I guess.
Sure.
And I grew up in Bel Air.
And when you're close to home too, that's like its own. Because if you need to go home, you can, and you can still stay in LA. But when you transplant to LA, it's this like extra thing of like, if I can't pay rent this month,
you have to go back home.
I got to go home. So I got to so I understand like how it could be an extra layer of security there. But that doesn't make the process of making it in stand-up any easier. It just makes it easier to stay is all.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to worry where my next meal was coming from,
Sure.
or oh my God, I have to get on the Tonight Show by 2003.
Yeah.
I'm finished.
Right.
I mean, I know people who literally, if they don't get on whatever show they're aiming for, they just move back home.
Sure. Yeah. No, 100%. I know a lot of people that have moved home, and a lot of the people you don't think are going to move home.
Well, I think like even with a show like Roast Battle, you know, certain people got on the TV show and they just thought they were going to be famous, and
Yep.
it's like it gives you more of a 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
If
Even, I mean, like if you look at the Instagram followings of even the people, I mean, look at Frank. I love Frank. I think he's hilarious. So glad he won. I'm not talking any shit or throwing any shade, but it's not like Frank got his following off of his podcast.
Yeah.
And off of doing stand-up. Roast Battle did very little for Frank. I think he might have been, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think he got over like 5,000 from Roast Battle, and he won the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I think on Instagram, this is not a brag. I think I have a little over 11,000 followers. I would say from Roast Battle, I probably got 3,000 to 4,000, which is a lot for me.
That's still a good amount.
But then I got a lot from the jellies, which I got from Roast Battle.
Right. So there's like a residual effect.
Yeah.
That's what I like to preach to people, especially people that are starting stand-up. It's like all these little victories that you get, they could be just stacking up and, you know, potentiating each other to a bigger, you know, job or whatever.
I try and tell people to have a game plan. Like, you know, with Roast Battle, my game plan was, you know, I'm not the greatest roast writer, but I'm probably
hell of a performer.
In the show's history, I would say me and Alex Hooper are the two best performers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to act like a pro wrestler.
Yeah. And you know, I took that a couple times. I did some pro wrestler style.
100%.
You're definitely one of my mentors in that way.
So I wanted to show whoever was watching in Hollywood, a casting director or whatever, I'm a character.
Right.
And I stole my character from two wrestlers. And I know this isn't a wrestling podcast, but
Ultimate Warrior?
No, Rick Rude.
Okay, yeah.
Who was this, he kind of looked like Magnum PI, but
I know Rick Rude. Yeah. Oh, I know him. Yeah.
A beautiful body.
Yeah.
But he would go out there and it's almost like the Archie Bunker vibe of he would look into the crowd and call someone fat and they cheer for him.
Yeah. You love that from a young age. I can tell. Just the anti-hero. You've always been an anti-hero guy or even a heel, but like, you know, there's redeeming qualities to heels.
Like, yeah, Rick Rude was so over the top in calling someone fat that they cheered for him.
Yeah.
Versus just being mean. Like,
Yeah.
you can call someone fat and it's like, okay, that's not very funny.
Yeah.
So I stole my Roast Battle character from that. And, you know, I probably spoke intently a little deeper on television. So people go, oh, that guy's got a deep voice. Let's call him in for this. Or whatnot.
So that was your game plan.
Yeah.
Your game plan was get a little stage time, get a little spotlight, and then show what I got. I got this great voice. I got this great presence. I got a good body. I remember you were pretty jacked. I mean, you're still looking good, but you were like, I'm sure you went on a cut there for a little bit. A workout regimen.
I've never, in terms of fitness, I've never really strayed. You know, I've never gone off of I don't have a diet. I just eat well.
Yeah.
So, but I probably ate a little less that week. But, you know, when I was doing the House Racist character, I think Comedy Central went up to Moses and said, hey, that guy's really funny.
Yeah.
But we can't have something called the House Racist.
Yeah, we got to call it the hater.
We've got a thing called sponsors on our show. You know, it's Viacom. That's a huge...
big company.
I think they were fine with the roast jokes, but you can't have some crazy white guy in the corner.
You can't have it called racist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't lovingly refer to someone a racist when Paramount's calling the shots.
100%.
Right.
So I think they asked Moses, hey, can that guy battle?
Yes.
And I had never really battled before, so I started battling, and I beat most of the people I faced, and that probably worked against me.
Yeah. It was kind of the same with me and on a much more microcosmic level, because this wasn't the TV show. This was just Roast Battle.
Right.
But that's the thing. Like I had won 7 in a row. I was really feeling myself. And that's when there's something about the Roast Battle community. I love most of the people in Roast Battle.
Sure.
But when you're doing well, that is when they try to knock you down a lot of times.
Well, they were trying to knock me down before. I mean, Roast Battle, my season was really an illegal show.
Yeah.
Because my ex-fiance worked on the golf show Holy Moly.
Yeah,
Rob
yeah,
Riggles.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a golf,
No, I remember. Yeah.
mini golf
Kind of like
meets Wipeout.
yeah, exactly, or Ninja Warrior or something like that. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I said to her, because I grew up playing golf, and my thing was I was a great putter. I'm like, hey, why don't you get me on the show? I probably could win it. It's 250 grand. She's like, that's exactly why I can't get you on the show, because I'm a writer and a producer on it.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah. So you had, Jeff is an executive producer on the show, but he's also a judge. That's literally illegal. It gets worse. His manager is also managing contestants and judges. That's like literally not allowed.
Right.
So I don't know. It just didn't hit me at the time, but like in some of my battles, and really even and this is a real deep dive into the show, but if you look at my bracket on season 1, it was unfair.
Like with like
Jimmy
who you were going
Carr
against. Yeah, you were they stacked him against you.
And then other people got, like, I love Mike Lawrence, no shade at all. He's a season 1 champ, but in his bracket he got Ralphie May, who had never battled before.
Yeah, Ralphie was not a great battler, dude.
Oh, I take that back. He had battled once in the belly room.
And it was like an embarrassment, right? And no shade on Ralphie. Honestly,
I love him.
Rest in peace, because he really was just a really great guy from what I've heard. So I don't want to throw any shade.
Oh, no, I'll say it myself.
But not a good roast battler.
He battled Sarah Tiana.
Yeah.
And in the history of the belly room show, she's a killer.
Yeah.
They literally called the battle. They didn't even say, okay, Sarah, you won. It was just, this is so bad, we have to stop it. So he gets him and Miss Pat, who is one of my favorite comics on earth. And you talk about someone who keeps it real. Miss Pat keeps it real. But she's more of a shit talker.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's a Comedy Central employee. Oh, so he gets 2 people who basically were gimmies for him.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And that's why there could never be any type of betting. I remember for a little while people were talking about doing betting and doing a contest, right? Like a roast battle championship with a cash prize.
Right.
I'm like, in what universe can we trust that process on actual money, or with, you know what I'm saying? It was revealed to me pretty quickly in roast battle that whoever the powers that be wanted to win would win.
Well, I think they tried their best to angle certain people into the finals, but that's illegal.
And that happened with Zara Ali when I battled her. I was like 1-2 or 0-2, maybe 1-1, maybe 1-2. Anyways, I battled her. She was like 5-0. She was ranked, all this. But I just brought it so hard. Tony literally said, Zara, we wanted to vote for you, but you just sucked. Because she like messed up her words a bunch of times. But that was stacked against me. They did not want me to win that. But just because she shit the bed so bad and I had a great performance, that's the only reason I won it.
Yeah, and that's even with no money at stake with you.
Yeah.
So, like, you bring up Tony. Tony's he's friends with Jeff, and me and Tony are friends, but... And Tony's battle on TV with Mark Norman, Mark Norman went first, so it goes to overtime.
Yep.
And even Tony knew this.
Yeah.
He's supposed to go first in overtime. And right before, Jeff goes, hey, Mark, I think you should go first. Like, he's literally not rigging, but he's definitely tilting the favor, because Mark and Tony are such great rebuttal comics that, whoever got the last joke was going to win.
Yeah. So
it should have been Mark going last.
Yeah.
So, that's literally illegal on a cash prize show.
Yeah. I have a lot of respect and admiration for Jeff, because I was part of, I know you don't, but I want to, go on record as saying, like, I don't, not that he's fed me very often, but I don't bite the hand that feeds me. And he has at least a couple times, been a pretty swell guy. Other times, maybe I didn't feel that way. But anyway, I just want to go on record saying that. But I cannot, when something is unfair like that, not call it out. I cannot hold myself back from calling out when something is rigged. I just can't. And it's clear it is.
I mean, for me, it was. Like even my first battle on TV was against Jesse Joyce, who I love. He's probably the greatest roast writer that's ever been involved in roast battle.
Yeah.
But it was just the wrong format for him.
Yeah.
And so when his first joke bombed and mine killed, I looked over at every Comedy Central exec, and they were all in from New York. Jeff's manager,
Yeah.
all the West Coast. They were literally like, and then the second joke I knew was, it was a bit of a cheap shot because his best friend had committed suicide.
Oh, jeez.
And I asked him, I said, hey, is there
But
anything?
That's roast battle.
But I said, is there anything off the table? And he knew what I was asking.
Yeah.
Can I do a Greg Giraldo joke? And he's like, no,
Yeah.
you can do anything you want. And I looked over at every exec, and you could tell they're like, fuck, we got to take Earl to Montreal.
Yeah.
And then when I got my bracket, we
Yep.
got an email. I'm like, oh, I'm being punished.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like,
But you know what? You can take it. And that's you're a strong guy. You're such a good performer that if anybody can take that, it's you. And I know that's a cross to bear, but you're a force.
But I'm
Earl.
also a very loyal person.
Yes.
Like, we'll get to Tyler, the Creator, in a second, but like, to me, it's like there's no roast battle to get to Jeff unless me and Moses saved it for the first year and a half.
Sure.
Because it was horrible.
Yeah, I understand.
You can ask anyone who was there, Pat Barker.
And it is wrong that you were such a driving force in roast battle, and that when it actually got that extra push, you were not included.
And see, I don't, I know roast battle doesn't make you famous. I don't care about that. I beat Jimmy Carr on TV. That's all 3 seasons. So when I see, I think 3 people I beat get all 3 seasons, that's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
And people are like, dude, let it go. No. Because when you let it go, in my mind, there's 2 schools of thought.
I don't let things go either. So,
But you let it go, you let karma.
yeah. That.
And some may say Jeff got his karma through other avenues. I don't care.
What do you mean?
Okay. Certain things that happened since then. To me, you let it go. You set off a bat signal.
Yeah.
Fuck me over and I won't do anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't think they might not want to work with me, but the few who do will be like, we got to take care of him, because if we don't, he's a rogue wild card.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good. I think Jordan Peterson said, like, I'm probably going to butcher the quote, but something along the lines of like, being dangerous. It's not bad to be dangerous. It's important to be dangerous, but with great control over it.
I just want respect.
Yeah.
If I came in like Mike Lawrence did, he had, once again, this is going to sound like I'm like giving him a little shade, but Mike just came in from New York on a show that he had nothing to do with creating or building.
Yeah.
I would have taken what they gave me and said, hey, thanks for the season. Appreciate it.
Sure.
But not when I'm a founding father.
Yeah. No. I'm with you there. That's a sentiment that I also hold. It's like, if I'm one of the masons of this building, you better let me in whenever I want. So Earl, we're going to we really are living up to this going on a tangent name. I feel like we've hit 15 topics and told 18 stories. I don't know how we're doing it, but I love it. We're going to just take a quick break with a word from our sponsor, and then we'll be back with Going on a Tangent.